Good morning, Eli and Maddie. I hope you're both still well. As I said before, I'm getting better every day from this coronavirus. Still housebound though, not allowed out. And so I was thinking for many, many years, friends have said what ridiculous things happened to me in my life. Um, And so I thought, well, now's as good a time as any. I may as well tell you a funny story each day from my life. And I thought, how about starting with the time when in the late 90s, I think 97, something like that, for a very alarmingly long weekend, I was a murder suspect. Yes, indeed. I was still at Royal College of Music and I was flat sharing with an older guy who must have been in his 30s, maybe early 40s. Obviously, I was 18, so a man of that age at my age then looked ancient. So I don't know, but he was probably my age I am now. And yeah, he was called John Ball. This is important. This becomes apparent why later. And so one Monday, or might have been a Tuesday, there's a knock on the door. I should say that me and John Ball obviously had our own rooms, and there was a corridor in between and a bathroom which we shared. And the bathroom was, you had to walk down 3 steps to get in. So the floor of the bathroom was slightly lower than the landing outside the bathroom. So obviously the door opened over the stairs. Anyway, so maybe Monday or Tuesday, as I say, a colleague, a friend of his turned up and buzzed the door, and I'm on the first floor, so I look out the window and wave and say, hello, can I help? And he says, John hasn't been into work. Can you go and check on him, please? Because he hasn't answered our calls. No one knows where he is. So I walk down the hallway to go and knock on John's bedroom door and see his body lying in the bathroom under the door at the bottom of these steps. This is a mystery that no one will ever solve as to how the door got open over his body. But anyway, the story gets more ridiculous because, of course, the police found it very hard to believe that I had not been in my own bathroom for 3 days. This is, of course, physically impossible to not go in your bathroom for 3 days, unless, of course, your then girlfriend happens to live right round the corner, and most of the time over the previous 3 days I'd spent with her at her house. I had literally come back to my flat to sleep, got up and gone out again. Obviously, the police were highly sceptical. And yes, so after a very alarmingly long weekend, as I said, it was eventually, the results came back that he'd choked on his own vomit, which was very sad. But yes. And then a slight appendix to this story. Bizarrely, about 16 years later, I told you these stories are weird, I got asked to be in a new opera that had been written called The Peasants' Revolt. And in it, the character I played was called John Ball. And ironically, when this whole scenario happened, we lived in Blackheath, which was where the Peasants' Revolt took place. The two events are completely unconnected. Although, of course, in Blackheath there is also a John Ball school, which I then also bizarrely played as a member of Epoch. We take opera into schools and work with 20,000 children every couple of years. So yes, how bizarre is that? Hard to believe, but true. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. So I'll post another bizarre, funny story each day for you. And yeah, stay well, stay safe. Love you always. Mwah.